Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dave here with Go Gamers, and today we're going to be working on this Xbox Series S, and I'm going to show you guys how to be able to turn a $100 repair into a $200 repair. So let's go over to the upper cam and see what we got going on today. All right, so we have this Xbox Series S, and the customer brought it in saying that they had fully, first off, they fully took this thing apart. They also asked for a discount. I want to let anyone out there know, if you're running your own shop, if customers ask for discounts when they claim they have opened it up themselves, never offer a discount, first off. Second off, 9 times out of 10, when I see other people take it apart themselves, something is messed up. That's exactly what's going on in this case. When they dropped it out, they was like, yeah, the HDMI port is messed up. And also, on top of that, now it's not turning on anymore. Okay? So, over here on the upper cam, first thing I do is I take it all the way down to the motherboard. I check the SSD to make sure the SSD was fully set in there. Everything seemed to be good. And then I noticed a lot of damage where the X clamp will be. So let's go over to the microscope and let's get a closer look at this. All right, so first off, I noticed this, because this is blatantly obvious that when he was in here, I don't know. I have no clue how people do things like this. Like, how do you even do something like this? Seems like we got a little bit of copper showing on these traces over here. The traces don't look torn. This shouldn't cause an issue because that's ground. So I'm not too worried about that. Now let's go over here. Let's move over to the other one. And this is where the X clamps goes, obviously. We can see these two traces are completely burnt off, right? He completely scratched both of these traces off. So we're going to have to redo those, right? And like I said, this is how you turn a $100 simple HDMI port repair to a $200 repair, because now I got to fix everything they broke. You see, it's also damage over here. All this is ground. Shouldn't cause too much of an issue. Does it look like any traces over here are kind of messed up? We can see some of these caps. Looks like, you know, just they chipped off some of the solder on there, and I have no clue. How do you even do this? Like, I don't get it. How do you do this? Oh my god. Like, people would just sit here just messing stuff up. And right here, obviously the entire trace is just gone. Now you can see over here, and we're going to replace the HDMI port second. We can see how they was trying to work on the HDMI port, and you can see it didn't work out into their favor. I have no clue what they were trying to do over here, but from the looks of it, they had no clue what they was doing. So here's the top of the HDMI port, and I'm just looking around just to see if they mess with anything up top. I don't see anything that appears to be messed up, thankfully. So what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on those traces. So I believe altogether it was 3 traces we have to replace. We're going to do this one, and we're going to do that other one after we get that one finished. Now I want to show you guys what I use. Now this is what's called insulated copper wire. There's different types of insulated copper wire. This is also 34 gauge. You can see the exact stuff that I use down below in the description. People always ask me, well, what if I want to use a non-insulated copper wire? The thing is, with this insulated copper wire, it can easily become non-insulated by you just putting your solder tip and a little bit of solder on it. So that's why I always get insulated copper wire. On top of that, non-insulated copper wire, anything it touches could possibly short out. So this is a tool that I use, and this is also down below. This is called a MA-INT D1. This is also down below in the description. This is why I use to slowly chip off some of the traces so I can be able to get new solder down. So what I'm going to do is I just turned on my Hackle solder iron just so I can allow that to heat up, because I want to make sure my solder iron is hot. I'm going to be using my angle. I got like one of those micro angle tips. So I'll use that to solder when the time comes. But first off, let's get some of this trace off. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a toothbrush, dip it in some 99% IPA, and I'm just going to brush around it to expose the copper underneath the masking. And as you can see, now we can 100% confirm now that everything is definitely cleared. That, I mean, you can tell like all this is just ripped off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Hackle solder iron, I'm gonna apply some flux on all these, put some solder. I'm gonna use some leaded solder, and we're just going to get solder placed on here before we actually get the traces down. So let's get that done. So as you can see, I now have the solder on there. So now I'm going to take my copper wire and I'm going to start to line it up so we can get it placed onto the motherboard. Alright, so I just got both of these. Just got both of the copper lines installed. I put some 99% IPA over top. And now I'm just going around patting it with the Q-tip. And after that, I'm gonna apply some solder masking. So I'm just gonna double check my work. You see that is in there. Everything is in there flush. So now I'm gonna take my solder mask and I'm gonna pop it on there. Alright, so the solder masking looks good and cured. Didn't need to dump a bunch of it on here because I don't want to get all the solder masking all over the place, but this is good enough. And now let's move on. I just want to go back over, make sure there's nothing else that I didn't see over here that was completely ripped out. Okay, I don't know what in the world that was. So let's just go over, scan. Okay, so I'm gonna add some solder masking to here. Let's get all of this applied. Alright, so I'll just put a little bit of solder mask over here and run my black light over it. I'm just going over it just to make sure it's good. Doesn't need to be anything too crazy. Now let's go to the over here, and it's nothing too crazy over here. Not like that one that was in that bottom right. So yep, I'm just gonna put a little bit more solder masking over here just to at least cover up these scratches so it can at least look somewhat presentable, and we should be good. So the solder mask is now cured, and the only thing we have left to do. So let me give you guys a recap. So customer brought this in. HDMI port was broken, and the console would turn on and turn off after about 5 seconds. It would turn on, stay on for about 5 seconds, turn right back off. I'm gonna speed boost through the HDMI port repair. So because I've uploaded so many HDMI port repairs, it's pointless for me to even go through that. I'm gonna speed boost through that, put this back together, and we're going to be able to see if it now turns on, stays on, and if the HDMI port works. So let's get that knocked out. All right, so I just put it partially back together because I don't want to get it all the way back together, and there's more issues, especially since they worked on this console themselves. There's really no telling what other kind of damage they could have done that I didn't see. So let's make 100% sure. I'm going to plug it up. I'm going to power it on. It is now staying on, which is something it didn't do before. Fan is turning. And bam. We now have the screen on. So looks like I just gotta go through this setup. I'm just gonna make it through the setup, make sure I can get through it just fine, and then I'll come right back. So got everything up and going now. Everything is good. I had to put in my USB, which has my offline update, and I was able to update the game console with no issues. So this one is another one that is in the bag. So my advice to people, if you are not confident in working in your electronics, don't work on your electronics, because like I said, I see this happen a lot. I have a lot of people that ship me in game consoles, and some of these game consoles, it's just, the damage is just so crazy on the motherboard, I have to refuse it. Like, I'm just going to let you guys know, like, if you send me something and just the damage is just so excessive where it's going to take me a whole entire week to repair it, I'm just going to refuse to repair because it's just too much. So if you don't feel comfortable, if you're not confident in your skills on doing these repairs, do not work on it yourself. But besides that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope to catch you guys on the flip side, and I'll see you guys on the next video. See ya.